Like my dress?
I do like your dress.
Other
than the coffee stain.
I know. I pulled this dress. I've had this dress for a long time, but I pulled it out and I noticed there's like sort of a faint brown color right there and right there. And I was like, have I just never noticed that this dress has coffee stains all over it? And then we checked and it's like it's in the same place each time the pattern repeats. And it's on the back too.
Yeah, it's coloring in of the leaves. So...
Yeah, but man. So we went to a wedding... it was my cousin's wedding in Palm Springs in the spring.
Right.
And,
yeah.
And I took 2 dresses, just one that I was going to wear for sure, and then one as a backup. I don't know. I just took a backup dress.
Yeah.
And I pulled out the first one, and I was like, there's coffee stains on this. I can't wear this. I don't know if it's coffee. I mean, it's not like I'm drinking coffee in the morning dressed up. I don't know how coffee stains got on the dress, or if it was really coffee, but there was something. So I pulled out the other dress, and it had stains on the front of it, too. I'm like... Am I getting so old that I'm spilling food on myself and not aware? But fortunately, the second dress had a really busy pattern like this one. So I had to just go with it. You couldn't really tell. Now I'm suspicious.
You can't tell.
Everything I wear has coffee stains all over it.
No, but that one doesn't. And it's a cool dress.
Yeah, I love it.
And you're a little dressed up because we were just at a Performance High showcase.
Yes.
Last one of the year.
Yeah, true.
I mean, we have the Christmas party, but...
Yeah, that's not a showcase.
That's not a showcase. Yeah. Goosetown Tavern. Mm-hmm. Place we really enjoy on Colfax. Amazing sandwiches. And,
yes.
And just such a great vibe. Like,
that's
that is the most
it.
Fun room.
Yeah. Like, people get excited when we're going to play the Oriental or the Hard Rock. Well, the Hard Rock's fun, too, but the Oriental in particular. And it's like, well, yes, it's cool to be at a well-known venue with the name theater on a big stage with a big sound system. But, I mean, you got to put a lot of people in a place like that for it to feel the way this place feels with our crowd.
It just really feels like a party.
It does. And people cheer, and it fills it up, and it's so much fun.
Oh, people cheer like crazy. That's
every time someone hits a high note or is intense in any way. Like, it's so great how supportive everyone is. But before the show even started, so we were sound checking. No, we were about to sound check, and Joe came in. So Joe was singing a song at the showcase. Joe is one of the Performance High teachers.
Joe Mondragon.
Yes. And he was also going to sing at the showcase, and he missed the second rehearsal. He gave me a heads up like a week in advance.
Yeah.
And he jokingly texted that he was going to write a handwritten apology note to all of the band members so that they didn't think that he didn't like them. And I was like, ha ha ha, you better be in calligraphy. You know, we're joking back and forth.
Right.
He shows up to soundcheck with a handwritten card to every single person in the band. Mine says, "Hey, Adrienne, I'm sorry." Sorry with double U's, and then a little sad face going, pointing fingers in, and a heart and his signature. And yours says the same thing.
Same thing.
And so does Nate's, and Brian's, and Ryan's.
Yeah, so he literally did write a handwritten apology to everyone for missing rehearsal. Yeah.
I love Joe.
I know.
He's the best.
Yeah.
I love all of our guys.
Oh.
And girls.
Yeah.
Guys and girls. Men
what
and women,
a great group.
You know. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, and the band was great tonight. Incredibly wide range of music.
Yeah.
But it always is. And every time maybe it feels like the widest range of stuff. But really it probably is.
Yeah.
We had one hardcore country track this time. And very often we don't have like a real chicken picking, you know.
And we had La Vie en Rose, a French tune made popular by Lady Gaga most recently.
Yeah, jazz.
Yeah.
And some pop and lots of Christmas music. Mm-hmm. Which, you know, those Christmas songs, and we have a show coming up with Cody, like a lot of those songs are not easy songs. They've got a ton of chords in them.
Yeah.
Like the really popular Christmas music, All I Want for Christmas Is You, and we did some older ones this Christmas. This Christmas is insane, but we did It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas and Underneath the Christmas Tree. And, you know, they're not simple tunes, you know, it's a funny thing. But yeah, so we did all that, and we had some metal tunes and some...
Yeah, there's always
2000s.
metal tune. Yeah.
rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what notable moments do we have? We had a lot of new singers, so a lot of people who...
We had way more than normal.
Yeah, I think it was 7.
Yeah.
People who had not performed with us for sure, and most of them had also never performed at all.
Right.
Certainly not with a band.
Right.
The only exception being Michael Pittman, who used to have a band in Montana before he moved here and started lessons with me.
At college, yeah.
Yeah, but he was nervous because it had been a while. And he told me he was so nervous he couldn't eat. And
Wow.
I was like, dude, you have to eat.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he's a fit young dude. He's in his 20s.
Right.
And he's just burning calories by being alive. And I thought he might have a beer. I mean, and even if he didn't, like, the nerves plus not eating all day, like, that just compounds.
Yeah, of course, of course. It's a very natural way to feel, but yeah, not eating doesn't...
You'll just feel better if you do get something in your stomach.
Yeah.
And then if you drink, then it's going to be a better situation. I was telling him, I was like, don't make the mistake I made, young one, because I
can only imagine, yeah.
The first AO gig at Herman's Hideaway.
Right.
Remember that? Oh boy. So it was, our first ever gig. You were playing keys, if you recall.
I was playing keys.
And you were flipping out. You were so nervous.
I was playing keys and running tracks off the laptop live.
Oh, that's right.
At the same time.
And Tad Wheeler
was on drums.
By the way, someone who works for him was at our show tonight by accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She said hi.
Wow.
He says hi. We say hi back. Anyway.
Yeah, that's great.
Anyway, so it was a trio. I was on bass and singing. And my mom had flown in, and I had to go pick her up from the airport, and I probably was doing a ton of things the day of the show, like, printing out email list signups and, who knows what. Whatever. But I was also just very nervous.
Yeah.
First show of my original music, blah, blah. Playing bass, and I hadn't been playing bass that long.
Yeah.
Really not that long at all. So I barely ate at all that day. Lack of time, also very nervous. Mm-hmm. And then, a lot of people came to the show, and a lot of them bought me shots.
Yeah.
And I don't think I drank most of them before our show, but I certainly drank after our show.
Yeah, no, it was definitely after, but yeah.
Ooh, I was in a bad, bad place.
Yeah.
And I was old enough to know better.
It can just creep up on you, especially when you don't eat.
Yeah.
And you got the nerves and the adrenaline kind of masks some of the effects until it doesn't.
Yeah. So that was a famous, throwing up into the trash can in the green room.
Yeah.
I don't think I blacked out, but I was hungover the entire next day. I only got over it once an hour before we played the next night.
Oh, and we had to play the next night too with...
Oh, and so somebody took me to Tad's. So I spent the night at Tad's. My mom had to find her way home to my house, with Micah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She must have taken my car. I don't even know. But she was just by herself, thanks for coming and visiting, Mom.
I didn't know your mom at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure we met,
Micah,
yeah.
I'm sure Micah entertained her, but...
Yeah.
So I had to go back to Herman's Hideaway in the morning because I forgot something there. And then I had to go home. Oh, I lived in Boulder at the time.
Right.
So I had to go home. Don't know how I got home. I don't know how anyone got anywhere.
Yeah.
But go home, shower, and then go right back down because we played in Colorado Springs or something.
Yeah,
that
I
night.
think we did play in the Springs the next night. Yeah.
And, hungover still the whole time. And I only started feeling better once I was eating a big plate of greasy Mexican food because it was a Mexican restaurant.
Oh, yeah, it was that Mexican place. Yeah.
It was a Mexican place that really only needed a DJ. That place would light up during our breaks.
Right.
When the DJ would come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not really... Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that was deep in the Springs. Yeah. So
I tried to impart some wisdom,
Impart some, yeah.
And Michael did great.
He did.
Killed it.
Amazingly well.
Yeah.
Really killed it. Did some, he's got such a throwback thing. Teskey Brothers and, I don't
California
even know
Honey Drops and Aaron Cam and the somethings. Sure, I should know this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, real bluesy, real, throwback soul.
And he's got the voice for it.
Oh my gosh, does he? Yeah, just unbelievable. Everybody did great though. Everybody really did the best they ever did.
It just happens that way. It seems like even, maybe the first rehearsal's a little rough, maybe there are lessons. A lot of times people don't really, really get down to it and memorize their songs or practice their songs until it's like knocking on the door of the gig. But people pull it out most of the time.
Or there is that thing, and we've probably talked about it on the podcast, where you practice a song a million times and then you go to play it with a band and it's just any little bit different. I mean, maybe the band's playing it note for note, but it doesn't sound just like the record, or it's a little echoey because it's in a room, or it's loud, or it's...
Yeah.
And that can really, when you're starting out, that kind of stuff can really throw you off, that it just doesn't sound like you're used to. And really, I don't know that there's a trick for getting over that. It's just kind of getting used to, I got to do my thing. Yeah. Even if it doesn't sound exactly like when I was practicing, it's going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this band is so supportive.
Yeah, the band is super supportive and just a phenomenal band. We were talking about that on the drive home. It is crazy that this band pulls off some of the stuff they do. The fact that we did, how many songs was that? 30? 20?
I think this time you guys had to learn 31, and then we had a couple of last-minute dropouts for various reasons.
But, we do all that on 2 rehearsals.
Yeah.
And it's pretty tight, but... Oh, and it was Nate's first showcase with us?
No, it wasn't. He did a showcase with us years ago.
You're totally right.
So it was
he did his second. Yeah. But it's been 5 years or something.
Yes,
he did a really early one. So Nate, friend of the pod, was a guest, and we had so much fun with him, and we had a ton of fun with him tonight. And wow, just such a great energy and cool player, great player.
Just fits right in.
Yeah, just
rock
solid.
I wish I had paid more attention to his playing tonight, but I'm so focused on the vocalists. Like, I am just like eyes glued to the vocalists because I first of all, I'm proud of them and I want to pay attention to them, but like that is the thing I'm concerned with. But I also want to learn by watching Nate play. And I lost that opportunity.
No one has ever... I paid more attention to Nate tonight than certainly in rehearsals. And I wonder sometimes, because you've mentioned this about me, like I'm also just trained that way where I am like so focused on the vocalist. And sometimes I wonder if it sort of freaks people out in rehearsal because I'm just like...
I remember the first, when you auditioned for the band that I was in 2011, I had never had someone pay that much attention to me.
Yeah,
I would just,
so weird,
I would just be singing and I would like, my eyes would just kind of want, look down, wander around the room. And every time my eyes like scanned by you, you'd be like right on me. And I was like, that's a little creepy.
I think it could be interpreted that way. I sometimes wonder, but I'm just like, I'm making sure you're good. I'm figuring out where you're at. And then when you do a show, you don't really, I mean, you do that, but
you're looking at them out of the side.
A lot more subtle. Which I'm saying, that's why I love wearing sunglasses when I play, which I never did before, and I finally have learned. If you're wearing sunglasses, no one can tell exactly where you're looking.
Right.
So I can be actually like looking over to the side, but I look like I'm just like... It's a really good tool for...
Were you going to say that you observed anything about Nate's playing? You said you paid a little more attention to him this time?
I don't know that I have any, like, exact observations, but he was definitely throwing in some really cool licks, and...
Whenever I would pay attention for a moment, I noticed that. And nothing that, like, sticks out. It's just, like, so tastefully supportive.
That's what I was going to say, is he's one of those guys where you go, like, oh... That was kind of a gnarly little lick there, but it's so smooth and in the pocket that you just like, you really have to be paying attention to catch it. Did a great job leading some songs. I mean, he was really like the point man on several of those songs. So it was really great having somebody like that there. This showcase wasn't terrible, but because Goosetown is very small, I couldn't bring my normal 6 to 10 guitars to do all the stuff, so I was sweating pretty hard on some of them with having to switch out with 2 guitars, and I had 1 guitar that was tuned all the way down to drop B, if anybody is a guitar player, and then a couple songs were in that tuning, and then a couple songs I had to tune up to C sharp, and one of them I had to put a capo on, which with the guitar tuned down that low, putting a capo on just completely makes it just go like insanely out of tune. But there was nothing else to do because, you know, you had to hit 4 or 5 different tunings.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Shanti.
The back of the chair is not the place to sharpen your claws, little girl.
No. So anyway, we'll grab her, see how she's doing. Yeah, gosh, takeaways for the showcase. You know what? Here's a funny takeaway. Something I've never done before because of switching all those tunings. I had to chart several of the songs out in fret numbers.
Oh.
Because I couldn't say B flat, C, whatever, because it was like it was in a different place on the guitar, depending on what tuning I was in. So I was like literally invented a thing where I was going like 6/5, meaning 6th string, 5th fret.
Oh god.
5/3, meaning 5th string, 3rd fret, and that's how I was having to like chart out some of those songs, which I've never done before. So it worked fine, but whatever.
Okay. And they loved us, by the way. They were so thrilled. The sound guy was super nice and complimentary. Danny.
Thanks, Danny.
And then the not the owner. He's the, you know, I guess the production guy, the point person. He's like maybe the manager of the bar.
Yeah.
Jack. Super nice. Asked when we're coming back. So we're actually going to do, I think we're going to do the next acoustic showcase there. Like
that'd be
Sunday
great.
Afternoon, kind of have a coffee sort of thing. Like
Yeah,
kind
that'd
of
be
coffee
great.
vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, we just love Goosetown. So if you do happen to be anywhere near Colfax in Denver, Goosetown.
East Colfax.
Yeah. Great sandwiches right across from the Bluebird. Lots of cool stuff down there. Colfax Guitar Shop is right there.
This podcast is sponsored by Performance High Voice and Music Studio and Goosetown Tavern.
And sandwiches. Just
the concept
of sandwiches.
Yeah.
Thanks to sandwiches, we can
eat all of our food in one little package.
Sandwiches, when you want to eat with your hands. Sandwiches. Gosh, so what else?
So that's the showcase. So it's been 2 weeks since we recorded.
Partially because we were in Atlanta over Thanksgiving weekend. My cousin Jennifer was having her big milestone birthday bash, so we went to Atlanta for that, and it was a great party. And
I bought this really cool bracelet, which if you're listening to the podcast, you're not going to see, but it's like it's got like 20. It's black leather, and it's got like 20 little thin straps on it that snap around, and then sparkles on it. So it's kind of like a gauntlet, a little bit like a small gauntlet. Super rock star.
And it was in a. So we most of the time we were in Alpharetta, which is right next to where they live, northern suburb, and we just had a great time. Birthday party was amazing. Everything was great. And then the last day, kind of got messed up on timing, getting people out of town, trying to have breakfast with my mom and stuff, and wound up just having to go check into the motel. But then we were like, hey, let's go to Five Points. Little Five Points in Atlanta, which was one of the first places I went when we were younger and looking for cool places to go. That used to be known as the Haight-Ashbury of the South.
Haight-Ashbury.
Haight-Ashbury. Yeah. Sorry, I've also lived in San Francisco. I should know that. But it was, it's just this very cool, relatively small neighborhood, incredible melting pot in terms of culture. There's punk culture, there's black culture, there's hippie culture, there's crystal shops, it's a real mishmash of stuff.
Really vibrant. Thrift stores, vinyl stores.
Yeah, thrift stores, vinyl stores, amazing
breweries.
vintage clothes stores, just amazing stuff.
Yeah.
We were sending some pictures to Julian because Julian likes those.
I know. I was we saw this whole rack of pants that just look like Julian.
Yeah, they were perfect.
The color and like he wears these. He always wears like a really earth tone stuff, like what you would see in the fall 70s. Colors. Yeah, so it's like it's like muted oranges and mustards and browns and stuff like that. And there was a whole rack of vintage pants of those colors in all these loud and quiet patterns. And it was just totally him. And they were we learned a new term. They were deadstock, which deadstock is apparently like real deal, brand new, still had the tags on, but just from like 1976. Like this pair of pants somehow was somewhere, never got sold, never got used. Tag never came off. Yeah, they just have amazing shops. So Little 5 Points. And the funny story was the first time we went there when we were, I think we were playing a show up there. And so we went to 5 Points because we'd heard of it. And we were so uncool that all that cool stuff was there, but we didn't know how to interface with any of it. We just were like, this is like, I don't know if we were expecting people to walk up to us and go like, hey, here's some cool stuff. but like, we just wound up eating a McDonald's by the highway and driving home because we didn't know. We were like small town kids. We were just like. White boys from the panhandle of Florida. We were just like, this seems cool, but like, what do you even. Did you not go into any stores? I think we were afraid to. I think it was too cool. It was like, we were just like, my gosh. Everybody here is too cool. We should get out of here before they realize we're not cool. Now look at you. Yeah, now look at me. I own a scarf. But we had a great time in 5 Points. We did some thrift shopping. You got cool stuff. I got a official Nirvana shirt from. Oh yeah, you found some cool band shirts in the thrift really store. Cool they had so many band shirts. So much stuff. And then we had a really great time at Vortex. Yeah. Which Vortex is, there's a Vortex in Midtown, and Vortex is related to, I think it's called the Laughing Skull, and they have a big comedy festival at those places, but there's a Vortex in 5 Points. And just a wild, fun place. It's got some big carnival looking like scary monster mouth thing for the door, like the building's all has these horns coming out of it. And they were featured on, I think, Man vs. Food. We saw a sign. One of those Food Network shows where people eat insane things. Oh, yeah. And they have the, like, heart attack, whatever. There's, like, the single heart attack burger. I'm probably going to get it wrong. But the double, the triple, and the quad. And the quad, I mean, they have photos of them on the wall. The quad is a burger, like, 2 feet tall. Yeah. And it's like... It's like 34,000 calories or something. I mean, something insane. Ridiculous. Yeah, it's like 20 patties of beef, like a dozen eggs. Like, it's just like this insane, like a loaf of bread in between, like multi-layer things. And then the contest, I don't know if you win money or you get it for free or something. If you can eat the whole thing within X number of hours. Yeah. And a couple of people have done it. But you also have to consume, I think, 64 ounces fries. Of soda. Yeah. And like 6 servings of fries. Yeah. Just like a completely... insanity. But their menu we didn't eat anything nearly that crazy, but it was really delicious burgers, and their drink menu was like so many beers. Enormous, so many liquors. And we just had some great local beers, and then you got a mystery shot. Yeah, they had $3 mystery shots. $3 mystery shot, and your mystery turned out good. It was cherry flavored something. Who knows what? They wouldn't tell us what it was. And true to form, the bartender would not. He was like, "No, I'm sorry, it's a mystery shot. I can't tell you. It wouldn't be a mystery if I." And I was like, "Don't get the guy fired if he gets out the mystery. You know, he's probably going to get the axe over here." Yeah. So we just had an amazing time, and then flew back. And gosh, what a day that was. Yeah, because our flight was at 7, but holiday travel. So and we heard that Atlanta could be pretty chaotic, which it was. It was a really,
Jennifer
really
flies every week, so
badly
she knows.
organized airport, at least that day. So we got up at what was essentially 2:00 in the morning, Colorado time.
Right.
The flight was delayed a couple of hours, so we had a lot of time to kill. We got in the afternoon, got home to Denver, picked up the cat because she was at Melissa Ivy's house.
Yep.
My cat mama. And then we dug in and started learning tunes for Cody's rehearsal that night.
Right. Spent all afternoon just trying to get ready for the rehearsal. And then we went to the rehearsal, which, boy, what a blur. It was a long, long day.
Yeah.
Anyway, shaping things up for the Cody Qualls big Christmas shows. He's got one at the Oriental on the 11th and another one at Niecy's on the 22nd.
Yeah.
So we'll be back at Niecy's. And we're doing a really customized Christmas show. I mean, a few Cody Qualls originals, but gosh, 50% of it is probably new material that we haven't played.
And some of it is... There's a couple of Christmas tunes that you have reproduced, like Little Drummer Boy. I really like your reproduction of that.
Oh, thank you. So,
it's really cool.
Cody did a Christmas album last year that is only available on his Patreon as of now. So if you sign up for his Patreon, you have access to the Christmas album that we did last year. Eventually going to release it everywhere. One of the tunes was original. It's called Crazy for Christmas, and it's on YouTube. But then, thank you, there was a version of Little Drummer Boy that's sort of like if U2 did.
Oh, yeah.
That's sort of what
what I like is the reharmonization of it.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Another classic, Emmanuel. O Come, Emmanuel.
Yeah.
So a version of that.
I like your reharmonization on that one, too.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, and so I worked on a couple of these with Nate in my bass lesson. Hi, Nate. I know you listen. That's why we said all those good things about you, Nate. Really, on the way home, we were just talking, oh my God, I'm never going to play with that guy again. Anyway.
And then we decided to be nice on the podcast for some reason. Doesn't have to make sense.
Anyway, so Little Drummer Boy, I mean, there's some timing not issues, but like there's some half bars. They're not half bars. They feel like half bars because you'll have like a half a bar of one chord and then a half a bar of another chord and then a whole bar of that second chord. It just feels like a 2/4 bar.
Right.
Even though it's not really. It's just the way that they line up. And so Nate suggested that I chart it in 2/4.
Oh.
And that was a huge help.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Huge help.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to break it down into two.
Yeah,
because then just a bunch of little 2 spots.
Yeah. And I find myself still counting 4s sometimes, but I'm thinking of them as like 2 pairs.
Right.
Rather than thinking of having to divide things, that was what was getting me in rehearsal. So that was a great piece of advice, Nate. We also worked on Chris Brown's version of This Christmas, which was the big one.
It's a Donny Hathaway
song. Which I should have heard before, but I never did.
Super clever and difficult.
Mm-hmm. Bars of 3,
bars of 3, bars of 4, all over the place.
And Nate charted that one for me, and we ran through it, and it's much easier now.
Oh, did he? I would probably like to look at that.
Okay.
I was struggling a bit.
Okay, yeah, it's just a little 1-page chart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we got through it, but it's going to be exciting. I think the Christmas shows are going to be...
they're going to be unique
really,
and fun.
Really entertaining, unique, and fun. We're working on a few brand new things that no one's ever heard.
Christmas song-wise, or?
Christmas song-wise. We got a couple Christmas parodies. We got a couple Christmas... surprises coming. I don't know why I'm being coy about it. But anyway,
some fun stuff.
Looking forward to the Christmas show.
Oh, and I get to sing the prayer.
Oh my gosh, and what a different thing that is for you. That has been really fascinating hearing you work on that.
Yeah, and I did mention it last podcast, so it's not like brand new news, but it is really coming along. But yeah, it's like my voice lives in a different place in my body with that song. My voice lives up here where it would for a soprano.
Yeah.
And the tough thing has been finding a light chest voice, because my chest voice, I've always had a heavy chest voice, and I lean into it with Stevie Nicks.
Sure, of course.
It's like, it's down here,
That's what that
and
sounds like. Yeah.
So finding something that doesn't weigh so much but still has some chest in it Kristen, I took my second lesson with Kristen Henry a couple days ago, and we fine-tuned the things that still weren't falling into place. And it's just like, man, sometimes just the right little piece of advice is all you need.
Just changing those vowels a tiny bit.
Changing the vowels, or thinking about a different placement or something. She walked me through this warm-up she's been doing with her students lately, which she calls the full body laser. She always comes up with these things.
That sounds like yeah.
So it's like, like you go, pew, 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 like that kind of sound. Not like a tiny one, but kind of a round one. Pew, pew. And like the high ones are going to go up here. Pew, pew, pew. And the really high ones are going to go back here. Pew, pew, pew. And the low ones are going to go, pew, pew, pew. So the low ones are here in front of you, and then they flip over your head as you go higher, and then they go to the back of your head really high. So she warmed me up front to back and back down to the front, and then we sang the song.
Oh my gosh.
So Kristen is going to be a regular guest on a new podcast I'm going to start.
I was going to ask if you wanted to make that announcement.
Yes. We'll announce to all 3 of our listeners. No, I'm exaggerating. All 100 of our listeners. Tell your friends. No, we're having so much fun doing this. We're going to keep doing it, although we'll probably take a season break in February.
Right. We might take a little season
traveling.
break. Yeah.
But I'm going to start a podcast that's going to be more specific about like what happens in voice lessons. So discussions between you and me, you from a producer perspective and me a vocal coach perspective. And then I'll have Kristen on a lot, and we'll talk about the lessons we do and like how we think about, how we choose the exercises we do, or the weird new exercises we think of, or kind of a behind the scenes. Like
it's going to be a lot more technique based and, talking about the real nitty gritty of voice production and then teaching voice.
So it'll be 4 singers and singing coaches.
Right.
If anybody is interested in that. So we're trying to think of a name for it.
Right. We were.
and my first idea was Between Two Coaches.
Right. Which is so funny.
If you know Zach Galifianakis.
There's a show called Between Two Ferns, which I recommend checking out on YouTube. It's called Between Two Ferns, and it is Zach Galifianakis
insulting his guests, right?
Just basically playing this character where he's the absolute worst interview host.
Yeah. They always misspell people's names when they come up.
And they've had amazing guests. I mean, Obama was on it. Like they've really done like some amazing
big actors.
And it's just him being like, huge actors. Bruce Willis, Brad Pitt, like kind of everybody.
Yeah. Sean Penn, I know.
Yeah, and it's just Zach being a terrible, and it's called Between Two Ferns. So your idea was Between Two Coaches. And you were just going to,
But it needs to be more descriptive.
Yeah. And I don't know, voice lessons behind the scenes. I mean, that's not catchy, but it's accurate.
I wanted to spread a little more than this one is, because I wanted to really get out to singers who are interested in it. Yeah. So I want a descriptive name. This is really for friends and family.
Yeah, this is a friends and family podcast, so if you're not a friend or a family,
get out of here.
Please turn it off. We should probably say that at the beginning of every episode.
I wonder if this thing will ever catch on. Like, how there's like the long tail, which sometimes you leave a video up on YouTube and then the views will keep going up. These aren't doing that. They get maybe 60 views and they're done.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? It's fun for us, and it's fun for at least a very small amount of people. By the way, hi to Stephen and Andrea. Thank you for continuing to watch. Really appreciate it, guys. Launching a new pod.
Yeah.
Doing some travel. So what would you say? Any takeaways? Let's talk. I will say one takeaway for me is I don't know that anything will come of it, but I was shocked and surprised by the energy and just vibe and soul of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Like being there just, and as much as we love Denver, like, man, the soul of that place, of Atlanta, is just like, oh my gosh, energizing, and you know, everybody's kind of dressing up and has amazing hair.
Oh,
and
yeah,
like,
the hairstyles.
Oh, just...
I mean, the TSA workers, the fast food workers.
Just everybody.
Like, everybody. The passengers, I saw this guy walking by with like rhinestone studded Converse.
Yeah.
And then like red braids that are 3 feet long. A different person. But just amazing looking human beings. And I'm like, man, this is a cool place.
It's just got that kind of vibe and soul. To be fair, we weren't there in the summertime. But anyway, that was a takeaway for me. I was like, I want to find more of that out here. I mean, there has to be more, you know, and it isn't about the fashion or the hair or whatever. That's not really the point. It's more the vibe and the soul and the desire to be, you know, kind of living out loud a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that kind of being. And, you know, we may just not know all the neighborhoods in Denver. We might need to go poking around a little. And so that was a takeaway for me. I want to continue to find new cool stuff about where we live.
Cool. That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I have no takeaways.
No takeaways? Mm-mm. No, these entire 2 weeks may as well have not have happened.
Musically?
How did you feel about so you didn't chart the showcase, because even when you weren't in the showcase band, you were making yourself responsible for writing the charts, the musical charts with all the chords. And you didn't do that this time, and you didn't play with the showcase band, which you've done very often recently.
Right, and I didn't plan the harmonies.
Didn't plan the harmonies.
Or sing most of them.
No, I think you only did like 1 or 2 songs. You played sleigh bells a lot tonight.
Yeah.
Which you did great.
The unmistakable sound of sleigh bells.
You're such a good percussion player, by the way. That's so rare. Anyway, let's not get bogged down. But you didn't write the set list.
Yeah, I did very little for this showcase, and that was by design. I'm trying to give Raylyn more responsibility.
Right.
I'm trying to find more and more ways I can take myself out of the daily functioning of the business, not because I don't want to be involved. I love being involved with the showcases, but because I want this company to stand on its own without me someday.
Right.
And that's not going to be anytime soon. Like, fingers crossed, it's not going to be anytime soon. But, you know, if something did happen, I want everything to go on without me. So I've got contingency plans and, you know, here's where the passwords are and all that. But more than that, I'm trying, like, as I think bigger about Performance High, I know I need to do less and less of the day-to-day. I need to not do things that don't have to be done by me.
Right.
And so I was very uninvolved with this one. I was just emceeing, really, and I sat through the rehearsals. So I was just the person who received the text that people were ready, had arrived for rehearsal, and I was the person who kept us on track at rehearsal, and then I was the MC. And that's pretty much it. And I'll be honest, it's a little boring. I mean, I love the showcases, but having literally like no job other than emceeing,
right,
it's a little boring.
Well, and especially after you'd seen a couple of rehearsals, it wasn't like your first time seeing the tune or anything.
Yeah.
You know, you had seen it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the showcase was boring. I would say the rehearsals were boring. The showcase is riveting to me.
Okay,
so
that's interesting.
I'm sorry,
I misunderstood.
Had to clarify there.
Yeah,
no, the rehearsals. 6 hours of me just sitting there like waiting.
Right.
But
right.
No, the showcase is fun because I see people get better every time, and of course I'm like on pins and needles for my students.
Right. Okay. Yeah. A lot more.
Yeah, but
a lot more at stake.
I am going to pick a project song on bass and play it at the next showcase.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So you're gonna do it.
So I can be the student.
You're gonna do a show-offy. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, of course, I play bass, but like I'm gonna pick something that's beyond my skill level and work up to it.
Okay. Yeah, that's fun.
And subject you guys to playing with me on it.
Yeah. I'm gonna continue to phone it in. That's my commitment for the next showcase. Sorry, I of course never do that. The one thing I didn't do this time, and it was fine, and it made me think like, man, I spent so much time. Normally for showcases, I'm building customized tones for not maybe every song. Like some songs have not much guitar or just generic guitar, or really there's no guitar on the record, but I'm just playing something just to play.
She's making a lot of noise.
Yeah, she sure is.
Anyway, sorry, cat interruption.
Cat interruption. Anyway, for a lot of songs I was dialing in exact guitar tones. Like that's exactly the sound from the recording and no one notices but me. So this time I didn't do that. I didn't spend the additional 10 hours or so of building custom guitar sounds for every song. And it was fine.
You know what's so interesting about that is my ear is so tuned to synth,
Right.
but not guitar at all. I mean, it's just a matter of tones, right? But like if I hear a cover band do a song that I know from my 80s youth that has a prominent synth in it, if it's not exactly right, it bothers me. Like I know exactly what that synth is supposed to sound like. Guitar, I could care less. It's either clean or distorted. That's about it.
Yeah. And I'm the opposite. I very often hear the amp,
Yeah.
Like I know, oh, that's like a Vox tone, and they've got, maybe I can't pick out exactly what distortion pedal it is, but I can try a few and be like, oh, that's kind of...
So interesting.
It's really about the mid-range shape, is really what you're listening for on a lot of guitar stuff, is you're just listening to where the poke is and where the smooth is, and that's a lot of the character of the sounds. But anyway, didn't do it this time, and it was just fine, I think.
No, I'm sure it was. Yeah. You tend to put so much more effort into things than gives you a return, to be honest.
Well, that's true. That is true. That is true.
You should start living by more of the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, exactly. And I do love guitar tones, so it's always fun. It's not like it's not fun finding those sounds and whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think we're winding down here.
Yeah, it's about time. It's a longer one.
Kind of a longer one. Boy, we didn't think that was going to happen. Anyway, we are just so grateful that you guys are hanging out with us, and we hope anyone who wants to comes to see the new podcast that you're launching next year. And
it'll probably launch in March or so.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to end it here? Or wait, here? Oh, we should have ended it back there, right?
Yeah, we missed it. Yeah.
So how about here?
Oh, okay.
Right here.
This is getting boring. Bye.
See ya.